This is part 21 of LINQ tutorial. In this video, we'll discuss group join in LINQ. These are the different types of joins in LINQ. In this video, we'll discuss group join, and in our upcoming videos, we'll discuss the rest of the joins. Group join produces hierarchical data structures. Each element from the first collection is paired with a set of correlated elements from the second collection. We'll understand this in just a bit with an example. When we perform group join with extension method syntax, we use the group join extension method. When we perform group join with SQL-like syntax, then we use join operator along with the into keyword. Let's now look at an example. Let's flip to Visual Studio. So here I have a new console application. All I have done so far is created this department and employee classes. Within the department class, we have got ID and name properties. In addition, we also have this static method GetAllDepartments, which returns list of department objects. At the moment, this method returns 3 departments: ID, HR, and payroll. Within the employee class, we have got 3 properties: ID, name, and department ID properties. So this is the join key. Now, if we have to know to which department an employee belongs to, then we take this property value and then look it up within the ID property of the department class. Okay, so between these two classes, ID from department and department ID from employee are the join keys. So in addition to these 3 properties within the employee class, we also have the static method GetAllEmployees, which returns list of employee objects. At the moment, this method returns these 10 employees, and out of these 10 employees, 6 of them belong to department ID 1 and 4 of them belong to department ID 2, which means 6 of them belong to IT department, and 4 of them belong to HR department. Within payroll department, at the moment, we don't have any employees. Now, what do we want to do with these list of departments and list of employees? We want to group join them and retrieve employees by department, and then print the department name and the name of the employees belonging to that department on the console, as you can see here. So let's see how to achieve this. So within the main method, first let's create a variable to hold the results. Let's call this employeesByDepartment equals, first let's get the departments. So GetAllDepartments is going to give us list of department objects. Now we want to group join the list of departments with the list of employees, so we are going to make use of group join extension method. And notice this method has got 4 parameters. And the first parameter name, look at that, it's called inner, and look at the type of the parameter. It's IEnumerable of T inner. Okay, so IEnumerable of some type. So in our case, we want to group join employees with departments. We already have list of departments here. Now we want to specify the other sequence that we want to join these departments with. In this case, it's going to be a list of employees, so employee.GetAllEmployees. Another thing to notice here, the name of the parameter, it's called inner. So which means this is the inner sequence, and list of departments here in this example is an outer sequence. So this outer sequence is being group joined with this inner sequence. Okay, and look at the second parameter, it's called the outer key selector. Now we are saying we want to group join departments with employees, okay, but then that's not enough for this function to perform the group join, because without knowing the key property, that is the join key between these two entities, group join cannot do its job. So we have to tell to this function what is the key property within the outer sequence, this outer key selector. Okay, so for the outer sequence, that is list of departments, what is the key property? That is the join key property. The join key for department is department ID, so that we have to specify as the second parameter. So d such that d.ID, and notice from the IntelliSense, this ID property is coming from department class. Okay, and look at this, if I hover the mouse over, this d is of type department. Okay, now the next parameter is inner key selector. So within the inner sequence, what is the join key? So within our employee class, the key is, the join key is department ID. And the final property, parameter, is the result selector. So what do you want out of this group join? We want the list of all departments as well as all the employees belonging to each department. So we are going to get back a department and then all the employees belonging to a given department. So now what we want to do is project a new type, and within the new anonymous type I am going to call one of the properties as department, and that is going to store the department. And let's call the other property as employees, and that's going to store the list of employees belonging to that department. Okay, so here within this variable now we have employees by department. All that is left is to use a for each loop, print out the department and respective employee names belonging to that department. So for each var, let's call this department in employees by department console.writeLine. So this department object, so we are going to have an I enumerable of departments here, and within this variable will have this property and this property, right? So department.department.name, so that should print the department name. And then now each department, okay, is going to have list of employees belonging to that department. So we have to use another for each loop here. So for each var, let's call the variable employee in department variable dot employees property. So that's going to give us I enumerable of employee objects belonging to that department. So now what we want to do is print the employee names belonging to that department, but within the output we want some space there. So console.writeLine, let's print a space and then the employee name. So employee dot name. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this, and then after each department let's print an empty line. Okay, so let's run this. Notice that we have IT and then the employees belonging to that department, HR and the employees belonging to that department. Within payroll we don't have any employees, but still GroupJoin produces that. So every record from the outer sequence is produced irrespective of whether it has a matching record within the inner sequence or not. Okay, so this is GroupJoin to produce hierarchical data, and here we have used extension method syntax. Okay, now let's see how to rewrite this using SQL-like syntax. So instead of using this extension method syntax, let's use SQL-like syntax. With SQL-like syntax, the first thing we type is from, let's call d in Department.GetAllDepartments, and we want to join that. So when we do a group join with SQL-like syntax, we don't use group join keyword. Instead we use the join keyword. So join e in Employee.GetAllEmployees. Now we have to specify the join condition. So on d.ID, now look at this again from the IntelliSense. d.ID means that ID is coming from the department entity. So d.ID, now you can't use double equals here and then say e.DepartmentID. So look at that, it doesn't allow us to actually type that. So instead of double equals, you actually have to use equals keyword. So equals e.DepartmentID. Okay, and we want to project this into a new group. So let's call this e group. Okay, so to perform a group join using SQL-like syntax, we use the join keyword along with into keyword. And then what we want to do is select a new anonymous type, and here we specify what we want within the result. So we want department as one of the property, and department is going to be D, and the other property is going to be the employees belonging to that department, and that's going to be e-group. That's it. So that's SQL-like syntax. In my opinion, this is more easy to write than using extension method syntax. So let's run this and see if we get the identical output. So exactly the same output. Here we are using the SQL-like syntax. That's it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.